Welcome to McDougall. In this show, you're going to meet the woman in John's kitchen, his wife, Mary. Hello, I'm Wayne Judd. And now, he really does eat like a horse, Dr. John.
It gives me a subject to talk to you about. You know, people probably think I sit back there and plan these subjects, script them out, get the research ready and so on. I don't. Quite honest with you, I was planning on doing a discussion on early detection techniques before you said that, and I've abandoned it and decided to talk to you about...
So I changed your whole kickoff topic?
You have changed the entire topic. Instead, I've decided to talk to you about eating like a horse.
Eating like a horse.
Yes, and I agree, I eat like a horse. That's
well, we were right.
That's right. Horses are vegetarians.
Horses are vegetarians, but...
And I'd like to contrast for you the difference between vegetarians and carnivores.
All right.
In terms of various animals. Now, what if I was going to mention a carnivore, what animal would come to mind for you?
Dog.
Or
wolf.
How about a cat?
Cat is fine if you want to talk about a cat.
And if I
there was a right answer. Tell me if there's a right answer,
Yes, there was a right answer.
Okay,
that's
cat.
Fine.
Cat.
No, I like the dog too.
Okay.
So it's fine.
Well, let's go with cat.
And we'll go with cat.
All right.
Now, how about if I mentioned a vegetarian?
A vegetarian, I would think of a cow.
All right. Or a horse.
Well, a horse, since we're talking horse.
Or a monkey. Pretty much vegetarians.
I'm having a hard time with the right answers on this.
Okay, well, I just want to give you some options because we've got lots of people out there that relate to this.
Yes.
All right, so let's compare the two. First of all, let's compare the tooth structure of a carnivore, like your cat,
all right,
and say the monkey or the horse.
Teeth.
Our teeth are more like which?
Well, I know what the right answer is to this.
Well,
we're more like the horse. We're more like We're more like the horse than the cat, John.
That's exactly right. We don't have those sharp, pointy teeth. You know, people say we got these sharp, pointy teeth. They point to their incisors. Well, go to the mirror and look in the mirror. You see, these are very flat teeth. They're nothing at all like what you see in a cat's mouth.
No, it's true.
All right. Now, to continue the comparison, a plant-eating animal or herbivore has an enzyme in the saliva called alpha amylase or ptyalin. Its sole job is to digest starch. That enzyme is missing in the cat's saliva. The cat has a stomach that has a very high concentration of hydrochloric acid for breaking down the high-protein meats that it eats, whereas our concentration of hydrochloric acid is quite low.
May I ask you a question about that before you go on? Do you have a cat?
I have a cat.
You have a cat? Do you feed it meat?
At times, but it eats a diet that's very close to meat.
I was just wondering how far you'd go with your non-meat.
Well, it's only out of convenience. Really, you should not feed your cat a vegetarian diet. It'll get very sick and die.
So it should eat meat.
Absolutely, because which
means it's bringing us back. We've got to kill something.
But out of convenience, we feed it a diet.
I'm just curious about that. Go on.
All right. The carnivorous animal has a very short intestine, so that the remnants of the food can be quickly digested and quickly passed out of the system, so they don't putrefy. Whereas a plant-eating animal has a very long, convoluted intestine, so that all the digestion and breakdown of the plant parts can take place.
So it takes longer to digest vegetables than it does meat?
Oh, much longer. You got to break down. You got to break down the carbohydrates.
I thought meat was horrible to digest. Haven't you heard people say they eat meat and it just lies in the bottom of their stomach?
That's because of the fact, just because we have that long intestine, and so that long intestine is so the food will lie in the stomach for a long time. The meat's not supposed to, so it putrefies. It rots.
Okay.
All right. Now here's another good comparison. We have hands for gathering.
Yes.
Not for tearing meat apart. If you have any doubt, go home, or you'll have to go to a friend's house, get out a big steak and try and tear it apart. It won't happen. Our hands are designed for gathering.
Yes.
We have a liver that has a limited capacity to excrete cholesterol, whereas a dog or a cat, you can feed them pure egg yolks, and they'll just increase their production of bile acid and excrete all that cholesterol. And of course, cholesterol comes from meats.
Yes.
We are obliged to have vitamin C. Vitamin C is present in plants, whereas most animals, including carnivores, don't have to have vitamin C in their diet. We do. So we were designed, our creator, thinking we'd never be in a situation without adequate plants or vitamin C. And here's a couple of good ones for you. How do plant-eating animals cool themselves?
Plant-eating animals?
Yes, like a horse. How does it cool itself?
Well, they sweat.
They sweat. How does a carnivorous animal, like your cat, cool itself?
They pant with their tongue hanging out.
I've known you for a long time, and I've yet to see, under these hot lights, I've yet to see you panting.
No, I haven't done that.
So I have to. Okay, how about when you drink? A plant-eating animal, when it drinks, what does it do? In general.
Well, it
It sips. I'll make it easy for you.
It sips.
The carnivorous animal, how's your cat taking water?
Laps.
That's right.
Same thing. The tongue deal. The tongue deal
I had
again.
lunch with you today.
We had lunch.
I have to tell these folks he did not lap once.
I didn't lap. No.
So I have to assume.
I sipped.
I have to assume by all that comparison, anatomy and physiology, that you were designed as a plant-eating animal. But where we get full is the human being as a survivor. It tolerates 2 packs of cigarettes, a half a bottle of whiskey, and the entirely wrong diet. And it lives, so people think that that's okay.
Wow.
When we come back, I'm going to introduce you to the most important person in my life. That's
that's
my wife,
marvelous.
Mary. We
That's
work
great.
together, we live together, and she's got wonderful things to teach you. So after this commercial break, we'll be right back.
Are you looking for a way to change your life? The answer may be as easy as watching TV. Introducing Hello Channel, an exciting new channel that's designed to teach you to speak English. New opportunities will be available to you when you learn the language of the internet, commerce, travel, and diplomacy. No need to pay for your expensive schools or tutors. You can learn English by watching Hello Channel. Invest in yourself. For a brighter future, say hello.
And welcome back. Mary McDougall is with us. Mary McDougall, of course, is my wife and the co-author of the books. And also somebody, she spends a tremendous time helping me, teaching, appearing on radio shows with me, and it really has to take her out of her usual environment because Mary would rather be home taking care of the kids and the plants, right?
That's right.
But you do such a nice job, I keep asking her to do it.
That's great.
And there's so much she has to contribute in terms of the practical aspects.
Well, I think I'd like to usurp John McDougall for a little while and talk to Mary about John. Would that be all right with our studio audience and our viewers? I hope so. Good. Okay, let's do it. First of all, Mary, let's start with the most obvious question. Does this man eat like a horse? Does he really eat? Does he really eat the talk?
Oh, definitely.
He does.
I think he's talking about volume.
Oh, that's what I mean.
He's like a horse
He can pile
in every sense.
a lot of food on a plate and then go back for seconds.
Now, who does the cooking in your family? Do you most of the cooking?
I do most of the cooking.
You do?
He can cook a few things.
Hot dogs?
Yeah.
Vegetarian
you know
hot
those
dog,
hot
vegetarian
dogs,
burgers?
You know, they're vegetarian
Yes.
ones. He can cook those, and he can cook oatmeal.
Hash brown potatoes?
But you wouldn't call him a gourmet cook.
No. He's a convenience cook, you know, if it comes in a package and you can open it and put it in a pan.
Okay. And I suppose he needs a little coaching even for that time to time. Is that right?
Let's just say that when I go away on vacation in the summer with the kids, he loses a few pounds.
10
All
to
right.
15.
All right. Mary, did you actually help convert John? Did he convert you? How did you both become? It seems to me that you're of one mind in this whole dietary business. Is that true?
Well, yes, but it was his idea. I mean, he was the one that went to the library and did all the research.
Yes.
And he'd come home with stacks of papers and he'd say, you know, well, Mary, we really have to give up the red meat.
And how long ago was that?
Oh, about 18, 19 years ago.
Is that right? And you had children at that time aged?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. So your children basically have not had any diet other than the...
Yeah, but this gets worse. It wasn't just giving up the meat.
Okay, let's go on with the next stage. What happened after the red meat,
Well,
Mary?
then he came home with more stacks of papers and he'd read those and then he said, you know, Mary, we really have to give up the chicken and fish. They're just as bad as the red meat.
Chicken and fish. Did you just say, yes, dear?
Well, I did in the beginning,
Okay.
you see, but the story keeps getting better.
All right, let's go. I want to hear
And
it
I
all.
said, well, that's okay because there's quite a few vegetarian cookbooks out there and I can just switch to dairy and egg products. You know, that's what vegetarians
Of course.
eat a lot
Everybody
of,
knows
right?
cheese
Yeah.
can replace a lot of that stuff, right?
So we ate like that for a couple of months, and then he came home with another stack of papers, and he said, you know, Mary, the dairy products really have got to go. They're just like liquid meat.
John, were you just trying to find new ways to make your wife more miserable, or what? What's this research?
What I was trying to do is I was trying to find a dietary approach that would help my patients get well. I didn't really care what it tasted like. I just wanted them to get well.
I see.
And so the research kept pointing in this direction, and I couldn't ask other people to eat this way if we didn't eat this way.
Okay, and how did it taste at the beginning, Mary? Did you eat some pretty gosh awful stuff at the beginning?
Well, it's not over yet. The transition isn't over.
Let's keep moving then.
Well, after that, I used a lot of olive oil and the other oils in my cooking because that's what you could find in the back of the vegetarian cookbooks.
Right.
You know,
Right.
few recipes. And I learned to cook with some different things like grains and beans and things that weren't all that familiar. And then he came home with another stack of papers, and you know, he said,
It's about the fourth
the
installment.
vegetable oil has got to go. It's just not healthy. And let me tell you, he almost went along with the vegetable oil.
That was the last straw.
That was
the
almost
last
it.
straw. John, can you tell us about that conversation?
No,
How did it
that's
go?
exactly how it happened. But she was very happy to make these changes. She did offer a little resistance, but she knew it was important. And the adjustment that we made turned out to be not only valuable for other people, but it saved us the problems of being overweight 20 years later, saved us the problems of looking at heart disease and breast cancer and other things that so many people fear greatly. We feel that we have a much reduced risk of these problems.
And this was, in fact, was your objective when you did this research?
No,
it wasn't something that came later?
I was only concerned about my patients. I wasn't really concerned about our own diet.
Right.
I just wanted to, because I was so frustrated, Wayne, because my patients would not get well. Those that were fat stayed fat. Those that had chronic indigestion stayed sick. The pills didn't solve the problems. Those with high blood pressure, I just kept adding more and more pills to their program. The diabetics went on to dialysis, went blind. I felt like a lousy doctor because none of my patients did well. And so I was fortunate enough to learn the importance of good diet when we lived in Hawaii on a plantation. I saw my plantation patients, my first generation plantation patients, who were from Japan, China, and the Philippines, were very healthy. And so it gave me an idea how important diet was. And so I just started going to the library and doing all this research and found out how important it was.
But this strongly opinionated, well-informed husband of yours didn't, in fact, bully you into this. You came cheerfully and you saw the good sense of this,
Oh,
I take
yes.
it.
The difficult part at first for me was to learn how to cook foods without any oil or anything else in them. And we had a few failures.
How did some of that food taste? Can you remember any of it, John? Do you remember any particular disaster?
The failures I didn't get to eat.
Oh, you hid those?
No, we fed those, or we tried to feed those to our dogs.
To the dogs.
Yeah, but
We already know about their
wouldn't-
teeth, don't
they
we?
wouldn't eat them either.
Well, so finally, when did you start working on a cookbook then? Years later, I assume, or
No, right from the beginning, because
you couldn't find a cookbook, could you, with this kind of cooking?
And he had patients that were coming through the office, and he was telling them how they had to eat, and there weren't any recipes for them. So I would write things down that were
Very interesting.
successful.
And that's how you became a team in this business, is that you helped him help his patients, and at the same time you helped yourselves.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And we get lots of recipes. Now she has published in 5 different books that are national bestsellers.
They're national bestsellers,
She
these
has
books.
over 1,300 recipes published.
That's great.
Yeah. So
1,300
no one
recipes.
has an excuse for not eating this
That's
way.
right.
That's
There's
great.
got to be something you can like in 1,300
And your
recipes.
children came along with you cheerfully enough. They never knew any other diet,
They
did
don't know
they?
any different.
They don't, yeah.
They didn't know another
And you know, children
diet.
really like to eat simple foods. So it can be
Yes.
very easy, like pasta and bean
Yes.
burritos
Yes,
and things like that. That's really kids' favorite things.
very good.
See, it wasn't too revealing, was it? You didn't get any of the deep dark secrets, did you?
I liked what I heard, and in fact, we're going to do some cooking, aren't we, in a little bit here after we take a break.
It was an honest transition, and we went through all the difficulties that other people are going through.
And that's good to know, because there isn't some sort of miraculous process that takes place. And I'll say what John usually says. We'll be back in just a minute, and we're going to do some cooking with Mary. Mary, what are we going to have?
We're going to do soups because
Soups today.
are easy.
Soups today. We'll be right back.
Just say.
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 Hello.
And welcome back. Mary McDougall is going to show you and Wayne some of the delicious things that we have in our kitchen.
Can't wait.
In fact, you're going to make my favorite soup.
Your favorite soup.
Southwestern black bean soup. And you know, it's just such a common recipe. I mean, you can get this in restaurants.
Right.
People have, and it's basically the same as you're going to do now.
And is this out of your recipe book?
Yes.
Okay,
This is
so
out of the new McDougall.
we can all make this.
You bet.
All right.
All right. And this is one of the things that you can put on in the morning and let it cook all day. You can do this in a slow cooker. Put some water in a pot.
And Mary has once again consented to let me.
I'm going to teach Wayne how to cook.
Right, she's given up on me.
Some black beans and an onion. Okay, now actually, you would let this cook for a while to get the beans soften and have the onion flavor go through there. But since we don't really have time for that, I'm just going to show you how to do this. It's very, very easy.
You wouldn't soak the black beans overnight? You
Could, but I don't usually. I'm one of these people who doesn't plan that far ahead what I'm going to have for dinner the next night.
All right, good. What's this?
This is garlic.
A little garlic.
Got a little garlic.
Looks
and
good.
And then
Smells
some
good.
tomatoes just to add a little bit of flavor.
Oh,
These pans are
Can I
not
just
real big.
come?
That's enough.
Is that enough? All right.
For this one it is.
That's all right. I forgot to wear my McDougall apron today, but that's all
Okay,
right.
then we use some chopped green chilies. This gives it a little spice.
Oh, yes.
And some cumin,
Okay.
chili powder,
Oh,
lemon juice.
this is going together very quickly. I bet you wouldn't have it all laid out like this, would you?
She hasn't put any chickens in there?
No
or any,
chickens.
Any bottles
Crushed
of oil?
red pepper.
No.
And then after it's all cooked, then I usually add some chopped cilantro to give it some flavor. But I don't do that until the end because otherwise the flavor isn't as
And
good.
we have one all finished.
We have
here,
one
don't
all finished. It looks like this.
It looks altogether different, doesn't it?
It does.
It's beautiful. Now, will this be hot to the taste? Is the seasoning pretty hot?
No, it's not. It's very, very mild, but it does have a southwestern flavor to it, but it's not
And it's
Very good.
too spicy.
And that's it. We've got everything in
That's
here.
it.
And lots of body to it, too.
Oh, that's
really
good.
tasty.
Well, are we going to do something else? Shall I
No,
move this?
we're gonna
We're
do
going to do
something
something else.
Okay.
Something simple again, I hope.
Something really simple. This is something that I've discovered is it's easy to use already prepared products to make things much faster. We're going to make a quick bean and vegetable chowder.
All right. And this is you're pouring
This is
in.
vegetable broth.
Where do you get vegetable broth?
You can buy this in any supermarket. You can buy it in health food stores. You can make your own and freeze it. And then I use what I call a quick bean mixture, which is basically a combination of split peas, yellow peas, barley,
Can you buy that too?
lentils. No, you make that yourself.
But you can buy it because we've been buying it. We mail off somewhere for it since we went on the
really?
diet. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. It looks
Well,
exactly
I
like
just
this.
make my own and put
That's
it in
great.
a big jar, and then whenever I want to make this soup,
Oh, it makes wonderful soup. Just
well, it's real
incredibly good
easy. And
soup.
then I use a little leek. I like the flavor of leeks. And then instead of chopping up a potato and making a potato for my chowder, I use frozen hash brown potatoes.
Now, that's my kind of cooking.
All right.
Well, you just open the
John,
bag.
you could do this.
I can do that.
All right.
And the potatoes, I use them in a lot of things because they thicken things really nicely. And then I use some frozen corn.
Oh, it looks like chowder, Mary.
It does.
Why, that's wonderful. And there are no clams in here yet, are there?
No clams.
You're not going to put any clams in here.
All right, we use a little soy
If you
sauce.
think about it, they add very little. The meat is put in there as a garnish, and it really doesn't bring any flavor to it. The flavor
really
comes
doesn't.
from the seasonings and all the vegetables you put in.
And clams, I'm going to assume, aren't very good to eat anyway, right,
They
John?
are very high in cholesterol,
Yeah.
very high in animal protein,
What did you just put in here,
I
Mary?
Contain
put
no
some
dietary
marjoram and thyme.
no
And
carbohydrates.
here's some sage and pepper.
All right. Oh.
The clams are gritty too.
Yes.
We don't have any gritty flavor in our soups.
And also, there's a high rate of infection with hepatitis viruses in them.
Oh,
You
really?
don't want me to talk about that around dinner time.
Not around dinner time, not around this food.
You know, one of the things that people are always asking, Mary, is how do you get the oil out of the cooking? What are some of the things that you use just for general cooking to get the oil out?
Well, I always saute in water
Okay.
or a vegetable broth or something like that. Oil is one of the easiest things to get rid of once because the way most people use oil is to saute vegetables. And all you need to do is just put a little water or vegetable broth in the bottom of your pan and saute your vegetables in that.
And they brown up just as
They
nice.
brown up just as nicely. And soups are one of the easiest things to change over because you don't need oil in soup.
Right. And people are, well, a lot of people will take this nice, healthy recipe and they'll add up some
They'll
oil.
add oil
to
because they think it
And all
tastes
that
better.
oil is going to be deposited in their fat cells, so they shouldn't do that.
John, take a look over here. I'm cooking two things at once.
That's tremendous.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, I'm
Great.
very proud
Is
of you,
this
Wayne.
wonderful or what? Now, was it bad if I use the same? You'd use a
No,
different
you can
spoon,
use
wouldn't
it.
you?
And the other
I
thing
bet you
people have been
would.
asking me during all these shows, and I can never remember what it is, and we have no vested interest in this company, is they want to know what kind of cookware you use.
I use a product made by Farberware. It's called Millennium. It's a nonstick finish that is baked onto their stainless steel cookware, and I love it.
There's all kinds of non-stick pans on the market, aren't there?
Oh, definitely.
And the other thing they ask how you make, how you replace oil in baking. Just give us a couple of ingredients used.
There's a product called Wonder Slim that replaces oil in baking. You can use applesauce, baby food.
Well, we're going to have a chance to try this soup here in a minute. You did a great job cooking. And we'll be back after this commercial break.
This is Hello Channel. Come learn English as you watch TV. It will change your life.
And welcome back. And this is how I would eat, Wayne. I mean, I would eat these 3 bowls that you have in front. Plus, I would eat probably half a loaf of bread for a meal.
And this is what it means to eat like a horse.
That's what, and you never have to be hungry again if you learn this type of meal plan, because we left the fats and oils out.
Well, I'd like to just enjoy it while you maybe answer one question about Mary. We've given Mary an opportunity to talk about you.
Some of the intimate details?
I'd like to know if you have anything to tell us about Mary while I'm eating.
Over the 23 years that we've been married, there were times when she would cook many, many, many meals, all kinds of delicious things. But these days, Mary is busy with other things in her life. And as a consequence, Mary has developed the quick and easy method of doing the McDougall diet. And as a matter of fact, her newest cookbook, which will be out probably in a year, is going to be focusing on recipes that you can make in 15 minutes or less.
Well,
yes, because she has discovered that there are other things in life besides the kitchen.
That's not the one you were just talking about a little while ago. This is going to be another new one.
That's the next project she has. And so as the kids have grown older, she has become focused more out of the home as most families mature, and she's found ways to do it instantaneously.
How do you find time to do this, Mary? With John gone, you don't have much to do, right? He's everywhere.
Tell about some of your instant meals, Mary.
I'd like to hear about that.
Well, like I said, I use a lot of the frozen potatoes and vegetables and things like that. When I fix rice, I always fix extra so that I can make up something really fast the next day. Canned beans are great to use, and they make pasta sauces that are fat-free. There's about 20 varieties now that are fat-free, so you don't even have to cook.
And that's going to be more and more the case as we move on, and this whole movement becomes nationwide.
And I've learned to love these bottled pasta sauces, yes. I used to love the ones you made from scratch, but I've learned to love the other ones. And we have all kinds of interesting box soups.
Right.
Will that be as tasty as these 3 soups that I'm enjoying now? This black bean is just too good.
No, Wayne, they're not.
They're not as good.
They're not as
but
good.
You should buy the book anyway, right?
No, the ones that she makes from scratch are much, much better. But I never let her know that because I don't want her to have to go back to being a slave to the kitchen.
Otherwise, I'd give up cooking entirely, right?
Probably. And the other thing she's developed is a real talent for eating out.
That's good.
And we'll have to do a whole show on that. I'll have to do a whole show
on how to eat out.
And tell you how in our town of Santa Rosa, she has talked 70 restaurants into fixing McDougall food, and it's right on the menu. That's the ultimate strategy that Mary has.
Right.
Mary, thank you. It's been fun hearing more about John. I really appreciate it. I think John's going to bring us to a close now, but it's been great having you.
Thank
really
you, Mary.
great.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us. And goodbye. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.